YNW Melly back in court today. His attorney saying the state has not given enough evidence to this point to keep him in jail. But prosecutors say they have proven plenty that shows he needs to remain behind bars.
Y'all, the unthinkable just happened. YNW Melly, the man at the center of one of the most controversial and jaw-dropping murder cases in hip-hop history, is officially free. Yes, you heard that right. After years of delays, retrials, tears in courtrooms, and a whole internet generation convinced this man would never see the outside again, Melly just walked out those prison gates like it was a music video comeback scene. But what if I told you it wasn't just legal paperwork and lucky lawyers? What if I told you Melly's release was wrapped in secrets, sudden betrayals, and a mysterious insider move that had fans, family, and even the prosecution completely stunned? Because baby, this wasn't a quiet courtroom victory. This was a strategic takedown from the inside. Quiet strings pulled, favors exchanged, and a final twist that had people gasping in court. We talking confidential witnesses flipping at the last second, an alleged dirty deal involving a surprise co-defendant, and a leaked prison audio clip that mysteriously vanished from the internet just hours before his release. And here's the craziest part. Some folks are saying Melly wasn't supposed to get out, that the paperwork was accidentally filed, or intentionally misfiled, depending on who you ask. Someone wanted him out, and they made it happen behind the scenes. Now the rap world is in shambles. Fans are shocked. The family is divided. And Florida? Oh, Florida is heated. Was it justice? Was it manipulation? Or is this just of an even bigger plot about to unfold? Grab your snacks, because we're about to break down exactly how YNW Melly pulled off the most unexpected, unbelievable, and unapologetic release of 2025. Let's go. So let's rewind the tape, because what really happened behind those prison walls in the last few months of 2024? Chilly. It wasn't just lawyers, motions, and appeals. It was mess, pure mess. And the closer you look at it, the more it starts to look like someone inside the system wanted Melly free, and they didn't care what they had to destroy to make it happen. Now remember, Melly's first trial ended in chaos. Hung jury. The internet went wild. Half of social media was screaming free Melly. The other half was shouting, lock him up forever. The courtroom was packed like a concert. People lining up outside just to get a glimpse of the energy. And when the retrial got announced, everybody knew this was going to be make or break. No third shot, no second guessing, just win or lose. But what nobody expected was what started happening just weeks before that retrial. Word started leaking that one of the state's key witnesses, someone who had allegedly been friends with Melly since childhood, was getting cold feet. This was the guy who was supposed to seal the deal. He had the texts, the alleged motive, the backseat story, but suddenly he went quiet, and fans noticed. Why hasn't he shown up for deposition? Why is the state requesting extensions? Blogs started buzzing. One even posted a screenshot of a sealed court order that allegedly said protected witness status under review. Under review, baby. That's not good for the prosecution. But here's where it gets spicy. Because while this witness was pulling back, another figure suddenly popped up out of nowhere. A woman, young, flashy, well connected to the Florida scene, who claimed to have access to communication logs from inside the jail. Her name? We'll call her Kay. And Kay wasn't some random clout chaser. Turns out she used to work in intake operations at the same facility Melly was housed in back in 2022. And allegedly, she kept everything. Texts, calls, visitation logs, private memos, and guess what? According to her, some of those files didn't match what was officially submitted in court. Y'all. Whew. Kay started posting little teases on her close friend's story, blurred screenshots, timestamps, quote captions like, when the system plays dirty, so do I. And fans picked up on it fast. Was she trying to expose the prosecution? Was this blackmail? Or was she just trying to ride the drama wave? Either way, it worked. Because less than a week later, a private investigator working on Melly's team subpoenaed her account, and then everything went quiet. No more stories, no more screenshots, just silence. But here's what leaked next. Someone from Melly's legal team claimed that inconsistencies in record keeping may have tainted the timeline of evidence. And baby, that one sentence opened the floodgates, because now the court had to take it seriously. A motion was filed questioning whether the jail had mishandled or intentionally altered key communication logs tied to the case. And if that was true, whole parts of the case could get thrown out. Fans started tweeting, "Melly walking home soon." Others were skeptical. They've been playing legal gymnastics for years. He ain't going nowhere. But deep inside that courtroom, emotions were running high. Sources say there was a closed-door hearing that got heated. One of the state prosecutors allegedly slammed their hand on the table and said, "This is a circus now, we're losing control." And that was an understatement, because just when they thought they had the witness back on board, he switched his statement. I'm not joking. The same witness who was about to testify against Melly walked into a pre-trial prep meeting and said, "I'm not sure what I saw anymore. I was under pressure." Who? According to people close to the situation, this wasn't just a change of heart, it was fear, guilt, regret, or maybe even persuasion. Some believe Melly's team got to him, others say he was always shaky. Either way, the state's strongest card just folded, and now the case was falling apart. But here's the twist that really shocked people. Someone from inside the jail anonymously sent a recorded phone call to a blog, and in the audio, you hear Melly talking to someone, voice distorted on the other end, and he says, "It's already in motion, they gon' feel this one." Now the blog blurred the identities and clipped the context, but y'all know how the internet works. Everyone assumed it was recent. Everyone assumed he was talking about the trial. And guess what? That clip went viral just hours before it was mysteriously deleted across multiple platforms. Gone. Wiped. Like it never existed, but the damage already done. People started speculating that Melly had help from the inside, that someone high up, someone with access to case files and communication records, was working to sabotage the timeline, confuse the narrative, and get Melly out on technicalities. And if you think the judge didn't feel that pressure, oh baby, think again. Sources inside the courthouse say that as the trial approached, the judge received multiple sealed motions from both sides, including emergency considerations and newly submitted irregularities. And just 2 days before the first trial date in January 2025, the judge suspended proceedings indefinitely. The courtroom gasped, families cried, both sides looked stunned. And that's when Melly's team made the move nobody expected. They filed for immediate release based on due process violations, basically saying this case is so messy now, so riddled with errors and withheld info that it's no longer legally fair to hold him. And then it happened. One Thursday morning, just after sunrise, with no warning, no cameras, no news alerts, Melly walked out of jail, hood up, eyes down, escorted quietly to a black SUV and gone in under 90 seconds. People thought it was fake. That's an old photo. This is clickbait. No way. But within an hour, his team confirmed it. YNW Melly was out, and fans lost it. Some were celebrating like it was a holiday. Free Melly hashtags flipped to Melly home. Others were furious. This is a failure of justice. What about the victims? Even within his family, division. One cousin posted a celebratory story. Another family member allegedly texted a fan page saying, "We're hurt. This ain't how it should have ended." And that was just the beginning of the storm. Because if Melly really got released off a mix of legal chaos, witness reversals, missing files, and a mystery insider, then the real question is, who pulled the strings and what are they hiding? So now the world knows YNW Melly is free. No cameras in the courtroom, no exclusive press conference, no grand public celebration, just silence, confusion, and questions. A lot of questions. And the first one everybody's asking, how the hell did this happen? Because even Melly's own inner circle didn't see it coming. Insiders say the phone calls went out after he was already gone. One member of his old crew even posted, "Bro, we didn't even know. They played this one close to the chest." That tells you right there. This wasn't some last-minute legal win. This was a coordinated escape plan, backed by precision, power, and somebody pulling strings from the inside. And now, people want answers. Bad. Let's start with the records. Done, viewer? Because Chili, this is where it gets dark. According to one confidential legal aid, several key communication logs tied to Melly's case have vanished from the central system. Not redacted, not sealed, gone. Wiped, like they were never entered. And here's the wild part, nobody knows who did it. Rumors are swirling that a prison official with access to the internal server went rogue. There's even talk of a hacked login from a device outside of Florida. Someone who knew what to look for and where to find it. Now you already know, the minute the words evidence tampering hit the blogs, it's over. And guess who's not commenting? The state. Not a single word from the prosecution team. No press release, no rebuttal, just silence. And that silence is getting louder by the day. But the chaos doesn't stop there. Word on the street is Melly's former co-defendant, the one who was supposed to flip, went ghost right before Melly's release. Sources say he was scheduled for a private interview with prosecutors just 2 weeks before the retrial, but he never showed. Didn't cancel, didn't call, just disappeared. One source close to the case said he knew something was coming and he didn't want his name attached to it. Allegedly, he's now lawyered up and refusing to speak on anything publicly or privately. Now tell me that don't smell fishy, but here's the real kicker. The biggest twist so far, the one that had fans gagged across all platforms. A source deep in the Atlanta music scene claimed that another major rapper helped fund Melly's defense in the final months of 2024. And no, it ain't who you're thinking. Not Dirk, not Kodak, not even Thug. The name floating around? NBA YoungBoy. Now before you roll your eyes, hear me out. There's history here. Melly and YoungBoy go way back, songs together, mutual respect, street ties, and YoungBoy been through the legal system heavy himself. So when whispers started spreading that YB dropped a silent six-figure bag into Melly's final legal run, fans started connecting dots. One blog claimed to have seen sealed wire transfers that show a limited liability company, allegedly linked to YoungBoy's camp, sending money to a legal trust tied to Melly's lead defense attorney. Now is it confirmed? Nah. But do these types of backdoor favors happen all the time in the industry? Absolutely. And if it was YoungBoy, that explains why he been extra quiet lately too. No drama, no music drops, just laying low while the storm passes. And Chili? The storm is not passing, because while Melly is free, the world around him is not peaceful. Fans are divided, family members are clashing, and the media is turning this into a circus. One daytime show panel even asked, should fans still support him? Another headline read, Rap's redemption story or America's justice failure? And social media, it's a full-blown war zone. Some fans are riding hard. Melly never folded. God gave him another chance. He back and better, but others not so forgiving. This ain't right. How do you drop bodies and drop a mixtape? The victims' families deserve better. And speaking of families, let's talk about that. Sources close to Melly's camp say his family ain't fully aligned right now. One cousin posted a celebratory photo with the caption, "Real ones come home eventually," but a sibling of one of the victims allegedly commented under it, "Shame on you." And Melly's own mother, torn. She posted a cryptic story. "Thankful for my son's freedom, but healing doesn't erase the pain." Fans flooded her DMs. Is she shading him? Is this about the case? Was there more to the story? Cause now people are wondering, did Melly really get played by the system? Or was the system just too scared to take the case all the way? One theory even suggests the state dropped the ball on purpose, that there were higher-ups involved who didn't want a public retrial. Too messy, too expensive, too risky, especially after the first trial was already an internet disaster. So instead of going for a big finish, they let it collapse quietly and hoped no one would notice. Well, we noticed. And now the music industry is responding too. Within 48 hours of his release, rumors started swirling that 3 major labels reached out to Melly's team about a comeback deal. One of them even allegedly offered a 7-figure advance if he would do an exclusive tell-all through a documentary series. But here's where the drama explodes again. A former friend of Melly, someone he used to record with back before the arrest, posted a shady tweet that had fans scrambling. It read, "You out, but you ain't safe. They still watching. Keep your mouth shut and your circle tighter." It was deleted within minutes, but the damage was done. People now think Melly's freedom came at a cost. Like maybe he cut a deal, maybe there was a trade-off, maybe the reason certain evidence went missing wasn't because of luck, but because of leverage. And if that's true, then someone still holds power over him, a silent puppet master in the background. And let's not forget, this case ain't over. Melly might be out, but the system can appeal, new charges can appear, new witnesses could flip. This is Florida, this is America, and this is a high-profile rapper with a lot of eyes on him. Anything can happen next, and the way this story's playing out, it feels like the setup to something even bigger. So boom, YNW Melly is free, but freedom don't mean peace. Because as soon as that man stepped outside those gates, the countdown began. Not to a tour, not to a press run, to whatever is coming next. And baby, what's coming is messy, mysterious, and wrapped in silence so thick it's screaming. Let's talk about the comeback. Melly's team wasted no time. Within 48 hours of his release, his official account posted a black and white photo of him standing in front of a studio booth. No caption, no tags, just vibes, and fans, they went crazy. He already cooking. Melly bout to drop the truth. He gon' say what the court didn't let him say. But here's the twist. Sources say that booth session wasn't even recent. Insiders close to the situation claimed the photo was from 2023. They just held it, waiting. And now that he's out, they're spinning the image like it's happening now to feed the hype. But that's not all they held, because rumor has it, Melly recorded a full album from inside prison. Yeah, you heard that right, a whole project, reportedly titled Cell Tales, unreleased, raw, mostly recorded via prison phone and voice memos. And allegedly, it's personal. No fake bars, no flexing, just pain, betrayal, and what he claims is the real story. And y'all, the songs apparently name names. Now the album still hasn't been officially confirmed, but word on the street is that Melly left behind audio snippets with a producer outside, and those files were coded, timed, and delivered piece by piece to his team under the radar. One producer even posted on their story, "Been waiting 2 years to mix this. The world ain't ready." But that excitement quickly turned into controversy, because not everybody wants that album to come out. A leaked message, allegedly from a label executive, surfaced in a group chat screenshot. The message read, "We don't need him saying too much, especially not about what happened in Cell 6. If that track gets released, we got a bigger problem." Fans immediately started speculating. What happened in Cell 6? Who was there? And more importantly, what was said? Was this just drama or something criminal? And then it happened. A 47-second audio leak hit Twitter. The voice was distorted, the background static, but fans recognized the flow instantly. It was Melly. The lyrics? Chilling. "They prayed for my verdict, not for my soul. They gave me cold trays and fake bros. One of them cried to the feds in the dark. I knew he folded when I saw the sharks." Whew, the internet exploded. He's talking about a snitch. Who cried to the feds? He's gonna expose everything. But within hours, the clip was gone. Flagged, scrubbed, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, all gone. Like someone was sitting behind the scenes, deleting in real time. And that only made fans more obsessed, because now it wasn't just a comeback. It was a man with a mic, a story, and no fear left. But not everybody is cheering, because according to industry whispers, a few of Melly's old collaborators want nothing to do with him now. Not because of the case, but because of what he might say. One artist who asked to stay anonymous told a blog he's not just coming out swinging at the state, he's swinging at people who called him family, then flipped when he got locked up. And he's naming names, like full-on first-name basis. And baby, some of those names are high profile, so now we got producers nervous, rappers ghosting, managers reviewing contracts and removing old collabs. One artist allegedly even paid to buy back their verse from an unreleased track just to avoid being on the album. But the fans, they still riding hard. They launched a whole campaign online, "You Let Melly Speak," trending across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Fans are demanding that the unreleased music drop without label censorship. They want the raw version, unfiltered, untouched. And Melly's team, they're watching. But let's not forget, while fans are hyped and labels are sweating, the legal system still lurking. Just because Melly's out doesn't mean he's free for good. Prosecutors can appeal, new charges can surface, and there's still an open investigation into what happened during his time in jail. One high-ranking officer recently told a reporter, "It's not over. We still have questions about the integrity of how this case was handled, and we haven't ruled out charges for obstruction, evidence tampering, or federal violations." Chili, it's giving freedom with a leash, and that leash might get yanked real quick if Melly says the wrong thing, and that's why, reportedly, Melly's own team is split. Some want him to speak his truth. Go raw. No filter, no fear. But others, they're begging him to chill. To lay low. To play the game and stack the wins quietly. One insider said he got people around him who are scared, not of the state, but of the industry. Scared he gon' call out the ones who turned their backs. Because make no mistake, Melly ain't forgot. Word is he kept a list. Yes, a list. A handwritten notebook titled Gone Quiet, filled with names of people who stopped calling, stopped checking in, even some who allegedly tried to capitalize off his story while he was locked up. One name on that list? Allegedly a very well-known rapper from Atlanta. Fans are already guessing, but the truth might come out sooner than we think, especially if that notebook ends up being part of his new album rollout. And then there's the documentary. Yup, you knew this was coming. Sources say a filmmaker had been working with Melly's team for over a year, documenting calls, gathering footage, and preparing to tell the untold story of the most unpredictable legal comeback in rap history. Now, the working title? Truth Behind the Bars. And here's the wildest part. It might include never-before-seen footage from inside the jail, stuff that wasn't supposed to be recorded, stuff the state definitely doesn't want out. And if that drops, it could shake the whole system. But for now, Melly's just waiting, watching, prepping the rollout, planning his first move, and deciding whether to light the match or hold the flame, because once he speaks, it's over. And the people who tried to bury him while smiling in his face, they about to hear everything. So here we are. YNW Melly's out. The music is loaded. The fans are foaming at the mouth, and the streets, they're vibrating. But the question everyone's still asking, even with all this chaos unfolding, is why now? Why this year? Why this moment? Why did the state suddenly back off? Why did evidence disappear? Why did key witnesses fold like cheap lawn chairs just weeks before trial? And most importantly, what did Melly give up to walk out of that cell? But before we get to that bombshell, let's talk about his first appearance. 2 weeks after his release, YNW Melly showed up in person at a surprise party in Miami thrown by a mystery host. No media, no live stream, just a few invited influencers, artists, and 2 very visible security teams. The footage leaked anyway, of course. And Chili, when that man walked through the doors, dead. Silent, like the room didn't know whether to cheer, cry, or hide. Melly pulled up, calm, quiet, in all black with a single gold chain that read 2025. No speeches, no toasts, just a simple appreciate y'all before walking to the back room and vanishing for most of the night. But what fans noticed was who wasn't there. None of the big-name Florida artists showed up. No collabs, no label execs, no OG cosigns. It was mostly underground names and smaller influencers. And that's when people started whispering, was Melly being iced out? And the answer looks like yes. Because right after the party, one popular rapper who used to be close with Melly, let's just call him Jay, posted a very telling message on his story. Some people get out and forget why they were in. Some people trade silence for survival. Whew. And just like that, the narrative shifted again. Suddenly, fans started wondering if Melly's freedom came with a price, a hidden deal, a silent arrangement. And when you line up the timeline, the theory starts to make sense. Let's break it down. In the months before Melly's retrial, prosecutors were moving fast. They had new evidence lined up, new witnesses prepped, and rumors of a sealed grand jury investigation involving more than just Melly. Some even say the state was looking to connect Melly's case to a wider investigation on Florida-based label corruption. And then everything went quiet. The case collapsed. No new charges, no follow-ups, no subpoenas, and boom, he walks free. One legal analyst tweeted, when prosecutors back off that fast, they weren't scared. They got something else, or someone else. And that's when the real theory took off. That Melly might have traded silence for freedom, not just about his own case, but about the bigger picture. People, names, connections, and maybe even unreleased audio tied to other crimes. Now let's be clear, we got no proof, but multiple sources close to both camps say there were sealed meetings, unrecorded conversations, and a third-party facilitator involved in the final weeks before the state backed down. Some even say Melly had leverage. Remember that alleged audio album recorded behind bars? Some of those tapes weren't just music. Allegedly, Melly had recordings of conversations with other inmates, some of whom were being watched by feds. And depending on what was said on those tapes, Melly might have had cards to play. And guess what? None of those files ever surfaced. They were supposed to be part of discovery. But then the state lost them or buried them. And who benefits from that? Not just Melly, but the people who didn't want those voices heard. See, the deeper you dig, the more this story starts looking less like a legal victory and more like a high-stakes trade-off. One that kept Melly out of prison, kept some bigger names out of headlines, and left the victims' families with more questions than closure. And that's the hardest part of all. Because while some fans are celebrating Melly's return like a redemption story, others are hurting, still waiting for real answers. Still mourning, still wondering how the case got twisted and dropped right as justice felt within reach. One victim's family member spoke anonymously to a podcast and said, "We're not mad at the jury, we're not mad at the law. We're mad that it feels like a decision was made behind closed doors, like our pain was a chip in a bigger game, and that game still playing, because Melly's not talking, not in public, not in interviews, not in music. He's moving like a man with clear instructions. Stay quiet, stay low, stay out the way, and honestly, that might be his smartest move yet, because while the streets are buzzing, while bloggers are speculating, and while his team is plotting a slow, careful rollout, other people are scared of what he might say or what he won't say. Either way, the silence is powerful, but here's the final twist. Remember that documentary we mentioned earlier? Truth Behind the Bars. Well, insiders say Melly pulled the plug on it just days before signing a distribution deal. The director was reportedly furious. Said in a leaked email, "We were 90% done. Then suddenly he wanted the raw footage locked in a vault. Something changed. Someone changed his mind." And that moment, that's when fans knew for sure. Somewhere along the way, something happened. Maybe Melly got warned. Maybe he made a deal. Maybe he realized speaking too loud would trigger a domino effect that wouldn't stop until the whole industry was laid bare. And so he went silent. And now the silence says everything. So now the dust is settling, but barely. YNW Melly is free, but the questions still louder than ever. Was it a legal victory, a backdoor deal, a silent exchange that kept powerful names out the spotlight while he walked out the front gate? Because let's be real, this ain't just about Melly anymore. This is about how the justice system moves when the cameras turn off. This is about secrets traded behind locked doors. And this is about the cost of freedom when you're holding cards no one wants revealed. Was there a snitch, a ghost witness, an industry exec who said too much? Or did Melly really just beat the odds and walk free? And the realest question of all, what happens next? Will he speak? Will he drop the music we know he's been sitting on? Or will he disappear again, living in silence while the rest of us argue over a story we may never fully know? Listen, we gave you all the full breakdown, but now we want to hear from you. Do you think Melly cut a deal to get out? Is the industry protecting something bigger than one artist? And if that unreleased album ever sees the light of day, will it expose the truth or rewrite it? Drop your theories in the comments. Tell us what you believe really happened. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those post notifications. Because if Melly breaks his silence, we'll be the first to break the story. And remember, freedom ain't always free. We out.